Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster and I thought I'd do a quick video today about fire steels. These are known as ferrocerium rods, striker lights, fire sticks, call them what you will. And there's quite a lot of videos about these out on YouTube already, but I thought I'd show you a quick selection of the ones I use quite regularly and how I use them, and hopefully that might be of some use to you. But what I'll do, I'll bring you a bit closer in and show you what we've got, and we'll go from there. Right guys, so these are my fire steels. This one you've seen before. This is my X-Attack sort of almost keyring fire striker, which, you know, it's a good little striker. The only problem with it, I find, is that it is very small in diameter in comparison to something like this, which is the Swedish Army fire steel. Hopefully you can see on the camera there the difference between the size of these two. That's not to say this isn't a good striker, but it's something that I keep as more of a backup than something every day. Moving on, as you've just seen, is the Swedish Army fire steel. You can buy these pretty much everywhere, camping stores, army surplus stores. You can get them online, and these are usually between kind of £3 to £5 as a general rule. So they're readily available, and they're very good. I can't rate these highly enough. And they're great if you're just starting out, and you know, for people who have been doing bushcraft for years, I know these are still a firm favourite. The flip side to that is something like this, which is a slightly more custom version of the same fire steel essentially. It's got a nice antler handle with a little motif branded on there. It's actually a gift from a friend of mine a few years ago, and again, very similar fire steel, very similar in size, diameter and length. And what you can do, you can actually buy these fire steels as blanks, generally online. I find I've not seen any stores that do them, and you can make your own handle, and I may well end up doing a video about that one day. I'll get a couple of blanks and make a nice wooden handle for it. And then the last one I have is this one, which is again just another bog standard, slightly smaller in comparison, again diameter, a little bit longer than this one, as you can see, and it's got a nice machined aluminium handle, and a little sort of off-cut fire striker that comes with it, which is perfectly fine for scraping sparks. And again, this is the other alternative you can buy to something like this. Maybe I keep this as a backup, and they're all, in my opinion, all very good fire steels. Now, what I wanted to show you on the video today was the way in which to use these fire steels. What I'm going to do, what I haven't shown you, is one of my knives. This is the Ramirez Bushcraft, made by Stephen Wade Cox. Really good knife, and as you can see, it's got a very sharp spine, which is great for striking sparks with a fire steel. Now, there are a few ways in which you can use a knife and fire steel combination, and it's no different than how you would use something like this, though I know a lot of people are interested in using a knife. They haven't got to carry a striker with them or what have you, so that's what I'm going to show you on this video. So there are, in my view, there are three ways you can use this. The first is by scraping your knife along the fire steel, which works very well. You know, you get some really good spark. I'll throw some on here so you can see where they go. Now, the only problem with this method, or a couple of problems, is one, your sparks tend to spray out in a wide area, and what you really want to be doing is directing these sparks into your tinder bundle. So if we had some cotton wool on here, or some birch bark shavings or something, this is where we would want to throw them as close to inside that bundle as we can. Now obviously this method, although it does throw a lot of sparks, they do tend to go in quite a wide area. The alternative, and I'll show you again on here so you can hopefully see them bouncing, is rather than scraping down the steel, is you keep your knife static and you bring the steel away. So you're moving the fire steel and not the knife. So for an example, so again, what this does, although they do still spread out a little bit, they're actually in a much tighter area than when you're moving your knife. The benefit of this is that you can actually put your steel inside your tinder bundle before you move it, which keeps them quite well directed. The problem with bringing your knife down the steel towards your tinder bundle is there is a chance, and quite a big chance, that you will end up pushing your knife or your knuckles potentially into your tinder, which will then move things around. You know, if you've got it nice and tightly packed, ready to take a spark, and it will, you know, especially if it's kind of quite light and fluffy, it gets thrown everywhere. And the last one, and hopefully this will pick up on camera well enough, is actually keeping the still inside your tinder bundle and using the back of your thumb to push down the knife in order to get some sparks. Now what that does is it keeps it very directed, and I'll see if I can do that on here with you for you to see. I'm not sure if this is showing up too well on the camera. So although you don't get so many sparks with this method, they are directed in a very, very small area. So if I've got a nice sort of scraped up bundle of birch bark, let's say, or something like that, or even, you know, cotton wool will light with pretty much any of these methods. You know, cotton wool is one of those wonderful tinders that will just light, you know, however you do it. However, using this method, you know, you can light things that otherwise wouldn't take a spark. You can take things like amadou. You can take various other funguses that really need a good direction and a good blast of sparks in there. And this is probably my favourite method. And again, a lot of this depends. You need to have good control for this, especially if you're new to bushcraft, or especially if you're a young bushcrafter. You need to be sort of very careful of knife safety at this point. And I strongly recommend to anybody, before using any form of knife, whether it's bushcraft or other, make sure you understand how to use it, and that you're fully aware of knife safety and what you should and shouldn't be doing. I've seen it before when people new to using this kind of thing, rather than try to get you to see this properly on the camera. So basically, you're holding your fire steel, whichever is most comfortable for you. I tend to put the handle part into the middle of my hand where my palm meets my knuckles, wrap my hand around that. I then put my knife against it and push with the back of my thumb. Now the thing you need to be careful of here is that your thumb doesn't come forward onto the knife, because the last thing you want to do is get your thumb caught on the edge of your blade and either push down with your thumb, which will cause a very nasty cut, or end up having your thumb run along the sharp part of the blade, which will also obviously cause a very bad cut. Again, well, not that it's not quite so bad, but you know, if you're doing this and practicing at home is one thing, but if you're doing this out in the woods, you know, away from civilization and potentially medical aid, you know, you can get a very nasty cut. It probably won't kill you, but you know, it's not something you want to be trying to sort of stem blood flow with, because these knives, bushcraft knives in general, are very, very sharp. They're not like, you know, certain knives you might be familiar with in your home, in your kitchen, that kind of thing. You know, these things you can shave with these. You know, they are that sharp, so you do need to be very careful with that. And the last thing I really wanted to do on this video was just kind of do a couple of lighting demonstrations. So if I take a piece of, that's probably a little bit too much, I'll take a small piece of cotton wool, just give you a couple of demonstrations of kind of how this works. So what you want to do first of all is actually fluff your cotton wool up. That's very important. You need to make sure you've got plenty of air mixed in with the fibres here. And I'll do a separate video on fire lighting and maintaining a fire and how to build it up and that kind of thing. So there's your cotton wool. It's been fluffed up. I'm not going to worry about using Vaseline or anything like that. And then what you do is you get your fire steel. You know, you've definitely got a nice lot of sparks. And if you've got a brand, just one thing I meant to mention is if you have a brand new fire steel, you'll notice that where I've been striking it, it's a very shiny silver colour, and on the back here it's a very dull black. The black is actually a coating. You can probably see it better there on the other side. So I've got some of the coating has been stripped away. That's on a section that I used a little while ago, and I actually decided to start using this bit instead. But what you can't do, you know, where it's nice and silver, there you go, spark straight away. Where it's black, you'll get, well, you've got one little one there, but the coating is there to protect the fire steel. So what you need to do, if you get a brand new one, you need to spend a little bit of time and just scrape off the coating first before you can start getting lots and lots and lots of sparks. Anyway, so for the purpose of this, I'll show you the last one we did, which is the you can put your steel straight in your tinder bundle, and if it's something like this and it's very loose and fibrous and light, you can actually use it to hold it down. If it doesn't need to be held down, you can put it just on the outside or straight in the middle or whatever you like, and all you want to do, he says, and almost cool, and there you go. So you've now got instant fire. You start building that up with your kindling and these smaller bits and pieces and stuff like that. And again, as I said earlier, the thing with cotton wool as opposed to sort of more natural tinder materials is, although it's generally quite an unforgiving technique, I just want to make sure this has gone out properly. That's a very small piece there, and again, not a technique to use for everything, but you can scrape your knife down the steel and it's lit. Now again, that probably wouldn't work so much with birch bark or something like that, but that is the three techniques that I use, depending on the weather conditions, certainly the wind conditions, and what sort of tinder I'm using. That is how I would use a fire steel. So anyway guys, I hope that was helpful. By all means leave a comment in the box below, and keep tuned for more of this. Thanks guys.